Well, good night, everyone in crypto space, in virtual space, and online space. I'm Carlos Gonzalez, Crypto King, here live and live from the underground bunker. Want to welcome each and every one of you tonight. I see we have already some early persons on the call, and we do appreciate your timeliness. I want to welcome persons. We have a guest tonight, Debbie Pilgrim Frederick. First time visitor in this call. She's not a member of Cardbars as yet, but I invited her to the underground bunker to experience what we experience every Tuesday night. And I want to welcome all of you others who are on the call tonight. I see Denzel and Atkins and all the Galaxy, J2, J7, Gold Forever, Mario Gonzalez, Musical Harmony, Philip Edwards, Wayne Sargent, and so on, Marcia. So we want to welcome each and every one of you tonight to the call to the underground bunker. For those of you, if it's the first time you're on this call and the first time you're tuning in to the underground bunker and you want to find out what is this underground bunker thing about. Well, it's all about the concept of being prepared for if you understand, if you don't understand, a bunker, underground bunker is a place where we are, we are able to get all our supplies, to be equipped, to be ready to have our preparedness. It's all about preparedness. It's all about having the things that we need to survive in a time when things are going awry. And so in our bunker, we have a good supply of gold. We have a good supply of cryptocurrency. In our bunker, we have good supply of produce. We have a good supply of what we call our post-COVID portfolio. I spoke about that last week. And we have a good supply of number of other stuff inside the bunker. For in the bunker, you are safe. In the bunker, we are protected. We are equipped and ready for the crazy onslaught that is going to be coming to the financial world. And so we here at the underground bunker, it's all about preparedness. I want to welcome each and every one of you again to the call. I see we have 16 persons so far. And again, we appreciate each and every one of you coming out to the call tonight. Tonight, we have been engaging in a series for the past 6 weeks called Techno Shift. And this series is basically talking about the transition in a digital age and living in a time where we have to make a transition and develop digital skill sets that we ought to have in this time. Digital skill sets that is very crucial and very important for the time we are living in, because there is no other time like this. And I will say this, that we've never been at this place before, so it's truly a new place. But I've been saying for a while now that there's a shift in our thinking that is necessary, that we must experience. There's a shift in our mentality. There's a shift in our mindset and a shift in our attitude that must come if we are to survive what is coming. I always tell the testimony that was in 2017, December 2017. I looked up at the sky and I said, Lord, enough is enough. I have to make a change in my life. And he said, the only way your situations will change, the only way the shifts will take place is if first your mindset changes, your mindset shifts. And so I want to say today that today I'm a proud person to declare, and from standpoint with the help of God, to be able to say tonight that indeed my mindset has shifted, and I want to help others shift their mindsets to that place, and to that place where we want to be, in a place where we are equipped and enabled to survive the shift that is actually coming in the world. So we talk about the whole idea of the techno shift. We've had several aspects of the series exposed where we had stuff such as video. We had a documentary on technology, the development of the internet. We've had interviews. Last week we dealt with the power of trading bots. And so we are basically hinging on different aspects of technology that we will one way or another encounter in our daily life. And so we know, those of us who are part of the Cardbars community, we know how important it is to have as part of our survival, the acquisition and the holding of gold, both physically and digitally. And that even from a standpoint of a business, Cardbars can equip a person to be able to be financially secure, not just by acquiring gold, but also sharing and helping others to do it. So that as others decide that they want to acquire gold, you are rewarded by the company for even sharing the good news. And so I'll come back to that in a short while, but the point is that in the bunker, and the shift that is necessary in this time is one to protect us like never before. And so tonight we are going to go into basic cyber security. So what is basic cyber security? Is basic. Now I said it's basic because it's a whole wide field, and there are a lot of jargons, a lot of stuff that if I share, people will say, well, I don't understand. I'm going to really be making a great effort to break down as simple as possible some realities regarding cybersecurity. If I was to ask each of you all, how many of you all have a laptop or a digital device at hand? Type in the chat box, me. If you have a laptop and a digital device at hand, type in chat box, me. It's obvious for you need one to actually be on this Zoom call tonight. So from that standpoint, every person in this call most likely would have access to a digital camera, right? Or a digital camera, a digital device, whether it's a laptop, a desktop, a tablet, a phone, or maybe an Apple Watch. Whatever it is, we live in a time where we are so much exposed to digital devices. Even our television that now is becoming a smart TV is considered a type of digital device. And so as we live in this time, we're going to experience more and more of this reality of living and functioning in a digital space. We see with the emergence of the COVID-19 scenario, like Mike Maloney called it, the bat sickness. We see that we have to make that shift and that transition, because there are some aspects of our life and our survival in the next 10 years. I would say next 5 to 10 years is going to be critical that we are very well and much more exposed to the digital space. And so tonight I want to talk a little bit about cybersecurity. And as we go into it, I want to bring out these 4 points. So firstly, I want to say, along with gold and cryptocurrency, data is going to be part of the new asset class. Oh, yes. You know, I make these statements sometimes, I have laughed at myself. But the thing is, along with gold and cryptocurrency, data is going to be part of the new asset class. It's all about the data. When we talk about technology, we're going to understand that we have to accept and see the reality of data, information, that access to information and data is going to be very critical in our survival. Who has the most data, who has the most information is going to move ahead. I remember in our Trinidad and Tobago culture here, those of us from Trinidad culture, we know Mighty Sparrow, one of the Carlson, he said education, you know, that's a foundation. I want to say information, information. That's going to be the foundation, not just education, but information on a whole. It's those with the information that is able to be ahead of those who don't have it. Isn't that true? There are things that you didn't know that when you found out, it could have saved you a whole lot of pain and stress and money. But because you didn't have the information, you were operating in ignorance. And that ignorance is what you had to pay for. You had to pay for not knowing, as I say. And so data is that realm of information that is going to be critical and crucial to our survival. In this techno shift, because of the fact that we have data as one of the primary asset classes that we're going to be having to hold on to and protect, we have to understand that it's going to be an emergence. It's going to be an emergence and prevalence of cybercrime, right? Less and less there'll be physical attacks, and more there'll be virtual attacks, right? And cybercrime is going to become more and more a common reality, right? We have things as hacking and viruses and all these things, which I'll talk about in a while, that we have to encounter. Most persons, sad to say, most persons' experience in cybersecurity goes as far as installing Norton antivirus on their PC. Isn't that true? Most people say, listen, I've got a Norton, or I got a AVG, or I got some antivirus, and therefore I feel good. My computer is protected. My PC is protected because I've got antivirus on it. My phone is protected because I got antivirus on it. Is it really? Is it really protected? Do you know that antivirus is very similar to what we deal with vaccination when we have antiviral vaccinations? Because most of the times, in order to deal with a sickness, you usually have to inject sometimes the very antibodies of the sickness into the body to create antibodies to fight off the sickness. That's the technology that they use in the medical field. But even with antivirus, do you know it's actually virus definitions that you have to be implementing to a point inside of systems in order to build what we call protocols to be able to detect commonalities when we see viral patterns appear in our systems. So the fact is that most persons think that that's just good enough. I'm good now, I'm secure. I've got antivirus, I got my Norton. I am a computer technician as well, and I've always had the experience where people call me and say, I want you to install an antivirus on my system. And they really feel safe and secure. I want to show you tonight that there is a man in the middle. There's a man in the middle. There's someone sitting in between, waiting at either the gateway or the exit, waiting to intercept data, to intercept information. And most persons, now when I was actually preparing this thing, I had to delete a lot, well, I don't say delete, but remove a lot of files because I realized there was a lot of high level technical jargon that some persons may not be ready to hear. And hopefully I may be able to grate on them in the eventual future. But just to bring the whole point home is that there is between you as a computer person or a device holder, between you, the victim who holds a device, and the source of wherever you're getting your data from, there is someone lingering, a man in the middle. And the man in the middle, he is looking for several things to be able to intercept, right? I'm not going to go into too much of those technical terms because, again, I don't want to be too hard for you. I know Michael and those guys in there wouldn't be ready for it, but some of us, it's the first time we're hearing about cybersecurity on this level. So I just want to bring to you, first of all, the 5 laws of cybersecurity. And this was quoted by Nick Espinosa in a TED talk. He stated the 5 laws of cybersecurity. The first law is, if there's a vulnerability, it will be exploited. Right? So everybody, if there's a vulnerability in your system, it will be exploited. The second law is, everything is vulnerable in some way. Third law, humans trust even when they shouldn't. What do I mean by that? Humans trust even when they shouldn't. We jump in that vehicle when after we take it to the mechanic, and we trust that that vehicle will take us safely. We mash down on the speed, trusting that everything is all right because you paid some money. Not so? But should we really be relying on these machines? Should we be really relying on systems and things like this where there has not been any assurance that it will be functional as they suspect it to be? Then another law of cybersecurity is, with innovation comes opportunity for exploitation. So wherever there's an innovation, there also is an opportunity for exploitation. And the fifth law is, when in doubt, go back to point number 1. What's point number 1? If there's a vulnerability, it will be exploited. So people, it's important for each and every one of us to know that these 5 laws are, and really and truly, there's 2 key words that is the basis for these 5 laws. The first word is vulnerability, and the second word is, anybody, if you could tell me what the second word is, I have a special gift for you tonight. Vulnerability is the first word. What's the second? If you could tell me that by the time we end this tonight, let me know. What's the word? Okay, someone wanted already. Michael Amon. Sorry, Debbie. Michael Amon beat you to it. Oh, well, I'll just give both of you all the reward. and that is a special digital edition magazine of cybersecurity. So you will type your email address and I will send you that special edition magazine, 17-page magazine on cybersecurity. Beautiful combination of information, not created by me, but is available from me to all who are here. So tonight, that is who answered correctly. So the idea is, yes, vulnerability and exploitation. Those 2 key words are foundational words when it comes to dealing with cybersecurity. Vulnerability. There's 2 categories of vulnerability. Vulnerability, when it comes to technology, operates in 2 fronts. First, by the technology themselves, by the technological systems themselves. And then the other vulnerability is from the human side. Tonight, we're going to touch very briefly on the technological vulnerabilities that are at hand. And it's important for every person to know this, because why? Why? Because it is necessary for you to be able to protect yourself in a time like this. Let's go to technological vulnerability. So what is technological vulnerability? It is a flaw or weakness in a system or network that can be exploited with the intention of causing damage, with the intention of allowing an attacker to manipulate the system in one way or another. So that's technological vulnerability. It's a flaw or weakness in the system. in our network. And so once we can identify these vulnerabilities, then we can truly implement proper security protocols, you know? And do you know that, well, I'll leave that for a little while later. But the fact is that technological vulnerability is important. You see, industrialized society are becoming more and more dependent on computers. And so because we are becoming more and more dependent on digital technologies and systems and networks, you're going to be more and more highly vulnerable. Here's the word, vulnerable to disruption of computer-based services, intentional sabotaging of vital computer programs in telephone systems, banks, or factories could bring commerce to a halt. So even though that's on a more industrial level, vulnerabilities occur both in a micro style or in a macro sense. So it can affect the individual as much as it can affect countries and bigger systems. So we want to be able to understand that there's no distinction for technological vulnerabilities to exist. And because of the fact that there's no distinction today as to the parameters involved, where the usage of computers or technology is now where it's at. So it's important tonight that we're going to deal and touch briefly on 9 security vulnerabilities and security threats that exist in the world, or more so, even from our simple system. Now, as I said, there's a distinction between even vulnerability and threats in itself. You just heard the definition for vulnerability. It's the idea of a flaw or a weakness, all right? It's usually something that exists internally, right? A threat is that which exists externally, that comes towards the system itself. So it's important for us to understand the two different factors, that there are vulnerabilities that are internal and there are threats that are external. So what do we have control over really? Can we control the threats? No. What we can deal with is the vulnerabilities, right? And the vulnerabilities, in order to deal with the vulnerabilities, we have to ensure that there's certain factors, as you see the list on the screen, that are addressed. So one of the first most common factors that we have existing today is malware. Malware. How many people know that there's actually over 360,000 new malware files a day? 360,000 new malware files a day. And while that might sound daunting, it's important that you know that most of these new malware files are really rehashes of older malware programs. That what they do is they basically alter it enough to make it unrecognizable to antivirus programs. So it means, therefore, that I need to not only have an antiviral program in my system, but I need to have an anti-malware program in my system. And there are different kinds of malware, as you see. There are 3 categories of malware that I will touch on. We have something called ransomware, right? Now, now where does the word malware comes from? It's broken up as 2 words: malicious software. Okay, so malware is malicious software. Combined together, malware, right? So though these malwares are malicious, they have different objectives sometimes in the way in which, or strategies in which you use to enter into your systems, right? So for example, malware is designed to encrypt victims' data storage drives, rendering them inaccessible to the owner. right? So your data storage drives are held at ransom. And what happens is that there's an ultimatum that is presented demanding that if you want your hard drive back, they will demand payment. And in return, they will give you the encryption key that you can now unlock and get back your access to your hard drive. So it's called ransomware. Right? So you don't want to be the victim of ransomware, and we haven't really heard much about those on in the common circles, but in big corporations and in mega systems and in governments, those are very well much more used, because I guess what, it's like kidnapping. It's a virtual kidnapping of your hard drive, right? And then we have Trojans. Trojans. Now, there again, Trojans is a different kind of delivery system that is used. And a Trojan is like a piece of malware that what it does, it masquerades as a legitimate program. And what it does, it tries to trick you into installing it on your system. And Trojans can do a lot of damage because what it does, it slips behind your outermost network security defenses by posing as something harmless while carrying on a major threat inside, just like the Trojan horse, right? So again, that's where the term Trojan comes from. And then we have worms. And what is worms? Worms are like programs that self-replicate and spread through a variety of means. They use the systems of your emails, right? And once they've come on your system, these worms search for some form of contact database. They search for file sharing systems, and they send itself out as if it's an attachment. When an email form, the attachment is part of an email that looks like it's from the person whose computer was compromised. So there you have 3 categories of malware. So I could stop tonight on that, right? You could close up tonight, shut down the bunker tonight, right? Because that is enough already for you to understand the level of vulnerability our digital systems and our computer systems can be at. See, most of us, we just say, okay, I'll leave it to the software to deal with it. And in a sense, you can leave it to some software, but it's important for you to be able to identify and understand where it's at, you know? Because the goal of many malware programs is really to access sensitive data and copy it. That's the overall intention. The overall intention is to just access your sensitive data and copy it. There are some highly advanced ones that what it does, it autonomously copy your data and it sends it to a specific server that an attacker can then use to discreetly steal information, right? Some antivirus can protect against malwares, but there are also multi-layered security solutions that uses antivirus, things called deep packet firewalls and intrusion detection systems, email virus scanners, right? And these are some of the things you need to get in order to provide optimal protection. Let me say that again. What you need is some multi-layered security solutions. Multi-layered. So listen, and why am I talking about this? Because some of you all, I know you all are into cryptocurrencies. We are waiting on our blockchain laptop, which will have its own features to protect us from certain things. But until then, how do we function and how do you go about? I've heard countless times where persons would have lost some of their digital assets, right? And it's so important that you get intrusion detection system. So you can Google and go on Google and type in IDS, intrusion detection systems, that will be able to provide software. Of course, some of these softwares you have to pay for. If you want real protection and real security, listen, would you trust a security guard that's working for free? Or you trust one that's working to get paid? That's just a side there, right? You want to get something called email virus scanners. Email virus scanners, right? And there are some anti-spyware applications also that supplements antivirus applications, you know. But it's so important that we are able to to detect and understand where malware operates from. And that last point came from the computer guy himself, who I know he has a lot of thoughts on this topic tonight. Then we have what we call unpatched security vulnerabilities. So most people, the average Joe, don't usually go past malware, antivirus programs, and you may get an anti-spyware or anti-malware software, and you say, well, good, I'm great, I'm good. There, right? No problem. Right? But unpatched security vulnerabilities are basically like what we call similar to malware, but these are looking to exploit other vulnerabilities time and time again in your system, right? And this can occur when you are fail, whether you are a business person or individual, you fail to patch those vulnerabilities once they are discovered, right? The idea is that oftentimes there are programs that require updates. And sometimes we say, well, I do like to update the system. But doing the update actually sometimes helps and aids in dealing with those vulnerabilities, because sometimes when a patch is was once new but now becomes old because there are new protocols involved in the system operation or the carrying out of the software, and the old security systems now become vulnerable to the new attacks. So you need to update your systems. When your computer requests updates, it is important to have it updated. Of course, some persons say, you know, I don't like to get the update, it's at the wrong time. Listen, you could actually program a computer to update at nighttime when you're sleeping. Unfortunately for me, I don't sleep in the night much. So I'll be up while, right? So, but set a time and let your system update itself. Update all the other patches, all the things that are going on, right? Because updating might seem like a nuisance, but it could save you a lot of time, money, and lost data, right? So yes, Michael. Michael is bringing a good point there. He says a prime example is everyone should update the Zoom app, right? Because right now you would have been getting a notification in your Zoom calls saying update by May 31st or May 30th, a new patch, a new protocol will be in. So everybody should be updating the Zoom after this call tonight. Update your Zoom after this call tonight so that your patches will be protected. Because remember, right now, whilst we are on this call, it is an open portal where if a malicious person was to join the call, can use the portal of this call to gain access points into somebody's systems, right? So it's important for you to, you know, update your system, your programs when they require updating. It's for your protection. Then we have hidden backdoor programs. What are hidden backdoor programs now? This is an example. This is really talking about systems that intentionally have created computer security vulnerabilities, right? Some manufacturer of computer components or software or whole computer, sometimes they install a program or a bit of code designed to allow a computer to be remotely accessed. Sometimes it is genuine, it's for diagnostic and configuration or technical support purposes. But that access program is called a backdoor, right? So even though someone could connect to a system remotely, it can be used as a backdoor. Of course, when this backdoor is installed into computers and you as a computer user, you're not aware of it, it's now called a hidden backdoor program, obviously, because it's hidden from you, right? But what they do is they could create software vulnerability through these backdoors, right? And it will create an opportunity or vulnerability too easy for someone who have the knowledge to actually access that affected device or system, or even any network that device or system is connected to. You know, there was a recent article in Bloomberg some time ago that highlighted a case, right, where Europe's biggest phone company, I think it's Vodafone, identified hidden backdoors in the software that could have given a particular brand unauthorized access to the carrier's fixed line network. And this was in Italy, right? The system that provided internet service to millions of homes and businesses. Vodafone had to ask that company to remove backdoors in their routers in 2011, and they had received assurances from the supplier that the issues were fixed. But further testing continued to reveal that there are security vulnerabilities that remain, and that's through a router. So imagine if you have a router and that manufacturer created that router, left vulnerabilities in it. That could become an access point, not just to you, but to all who are on the network, right? So if it, again, as I said some time ago, technology is neutral. It's who in whose hand it is in that will that will make it either used for good or used for bad. Then we have a fourth vulnerability. It's called the super user or admin account privileges. Right? One of the most important when you have to, let's say, manage software vulnerabilities, you want to limit the access privileges for software users, right? So in other words, the less resources or a user can access, the less damage. So in other words, you have a system and 14 people on that one system. That can cause problems, right? So everybody, once they have that admin privilege where they could go into the system and adjust it and make corrections and change settings, this can cause problems and open up vulnerabilities, right? So it's so important that we need to restrict the amount of persons that have access to your devices, right? A perfect example is, say, you know, we have, and I'll talk a little bit about that one. Well, it might come up somewhere down there, where you have your Google Authenticator codes on your phone or the tablet. You don't give that phone and tablet to children to play with. You hear me? Don't give that tablet or phone to children to play with, because that's important. That's an important device you have there. And all it takes is for them to skip and come in and interfere and change and mess up. And what that then does is that, wow, you lost your codes. They deleted your account. You want to restrict use, because that in itself is a vulnerability. Of course, that may be considered part of the human side of things, but from a technological standpoint, the device is the one that becomes vulnerable to the user. So you want to limit the amount of users on your systems, okay? Right? Another point I want to say on that is that also, if you have your computer, let's say you do trading on that device. You don't do trading on that device, and on that same device, you are, let's see, doing playing Candy Crush. right? You don't want to do that, right? You don't want to open up your system to vulnerabilities by allowing too much privileges for particular devices. Then we come to automated running of scripts, right? So what is this automated running of scripts without malware virus checks, of course? That is again a common network security vulnerability, and some attackers have learned how to exploit the use of certain web browsers, such as Safari. You hear? Safari. I'm sure some of you are familiar with Safari. Yes, Safari can be considered to have some vulnerabilities in it, right? It has, in fact, they say it have tendencies to automatically run sometimes trusted or safe scripts, but is actually mimicking. They can mimic a trusted piece of code by tricking the browser, right? So all they do is they mimic a trusted piece of code. So you are seeing it saying trusted and safe, but the hacker's already in, the cyber criminal is already in your system and is already putting a mimicking code that is tricking the browser, that keeps it in this place of saying it's safe, right? And what they do is they use that browser software then and they run their malware without the knowledge or input of the user, right? And of course, you wouldn't know how to disable the feature, so it causes problems, right? If you're in a company and you have multiple employees working in networking systems, you want to try to encourage those employees to, not visit untrustworthy websites. Any website, anything that pops up on your computer screen and is blinking with pretty colors, stay away from. You hear me? any website or anything that is pop up and blinking in your face until you click me, X out immediately, right? You want to be able to prevent not just you, but again, other users. I'm going to use a system and say, wow, let me click on this, or a child, again, take it up, see the pretty thing and click on it, bam. What you have done is you've opened up yourself to a lot of automatic running of scripts, right? Then we 6 vulnerabilities, unknown security bugs in software and programming interfaces. Now, this is an interesting one because what most people, like myself included, I like multiple software on my computer. But you oftentimes, what I understand is that sometimes it's like medication. I want to break it down for each person to understand really simple. So if you are taking blood thinners, for example, you're not supposed to be taking adrenaline, right? There are two things that are anti against each other. Yet when they come into the same system, creates a conflict and more problems emerge. And it's the same thing with the computer systems. When you have multiple programs or multiple platforms of programs that are together, they can cause conflict, right? And those things open up and create vulnerabilities or security bugs, right? It's considered when you do those things, or when you install different softwares and they mix into each other, what you'll get is unanticipated code interactions, right? Unanticipated code interactions, and these unanticipated code interactions has been considered the most common computer security vulnerability, right? So it's important for you to be able to. Now, the truth is that unfortunately, you cannot predict this one. So again, the advice is to limit the amount of programs you have installed in a particular platform, at once because of that very issue. Because of that very issue, right? Yes, that's right. Akins, my good friend, is hinting to me here that it's and that's a very common one where somebody comes to you, they say the antivirus isn't working. But what has happened is the Windows has its own antivirus system, and on top of it, you installed another antivirus because you were Mr. Security. So you said that the Windows one wasn't good. Or let's say you put about 4 different antiviruses on your system. Say, well, I real secure now. No, that causes security bugs. That causes unanticipated code interactions. And therefore, your system is just as vulnerable and probably more vulnerable than if you didn't install any of those antivirus softwares, right? So, so that's important. I see Richard is asking me the question, is it programs running at the same time or just installed? That's a good question. And I want to say both. It can be installed, right? And of course, codes are really already embedded through installation process. But even when it's activated and running, what you basically do is allow the execution of these bugs to take place. So again, minimize your usage, minimize the amount of software you have up running at any one time, right? Yes, Michael says more than one antivirus apps also slows down your system. And you want to get alternative browsers with more security and anonymous modes, right? So Brave is one that has been advertised, and Michael is reminding me of that. I remember that one has been advertising all the time, all over the place, Brave. That seems to be a type of protective browser. You could check out that one as well, right? So this is a great discussion we're having here tonight. Are you all enjoying this? Am I boring you? Am I giving you too much? Should I hush now? Tell me in the chat. Should I shut up now? Should I go on? All right, because I don't want to overwhelm you guys, but I feel that it is important that each person in this techno shift knows some of these simple facts, right? Okay, so someone tell me, Marlon, tell me go on just a little bit more, right? And yes, we will have a course on cybersecurity. That is one of the courses that Royal Gold Academy will be bringing on stream as well. Let's go on. Fishing. So I'm not talking about going low zero with your rod. That's a beach in Trinidad for those of you international folks, right? You want to think about fishing with the PH, or as it's called, social engineering attacks. To explain what phishing is it's like when attackers attempt to trick a user, right? In the that hole in that system, and trick them into giving away sensitive data and account credentials, right? Or actually causing them to download malware. It is actually one of the most common forms of attacks and utilizes the email platform a lot, right? Email mimicking, you will get emails mimicking the identity of maybe a friend or a family, right? So you want to be able to protect yourself from this kind of system, these phishing scams, right? Sometimes that's why when you have your spam, right? Your spam usually it has a filter, your email has a filter or a filtration system that is able to detect sometimes these fishes, right? These fishes, right? So you want to be able to protect yourself from that. Let me give you a scenario. For example, like a attacker might say, okay, this is Carlos from GoTech Interactive, and your user account shows suspicious activity. Please click this link to reset and secure your password. That's what they will tell you, And then the link in that email will actually lead to a website that will download the malware to your computer. So you see, that's why you don't take those messages, right? You see people saying you have 5 detected viruses in the system. Click this to remove it. Don't. I'm not talking about your installed antivirus telling you that. You go onto a site and that comes up, bam. Those are phishing malware or phishing attacks that you want to be careful of, right? And those phishing attacks actually, let me see, I have that slide here. Right. So those phishing attacks use several ways in which they attack you. And one of the ways to protect yourself from those attacks is they use what they call email virus detection tools, EVDT. Email virus detection tools. I hope you're writing. Multi-factor authentications, right? For example, again, Google 2FA. That is a multi-factor authenticator. There are some emails that you actually have to use a 2-factor authenticator also to access. I know we don't like it too much, but it is a way to filter these phishing scams and these phishing attacks, right? If you're in an organization, you want to have employee cybersecurity awareness training going on, because once your employees in your business is educated, they will likely hardly fall for these phishing schemes, right? So you want to be able to give them some training. If you're in a company and you have persons using your computers, right? Then we have what we call defense in depth. Defense in depth is basically where security is adding extra layers of protection between each of the individual assets. So if you have a network, this is more related to a computer network system where multiple computers are being used. You have extra layers of protection, right? So that if the attacker bypasses the outer defenses, there will be other layers of protection. And there are a lot of software out there that can provide that. You could just type in defense in depth software and you're going to get a whole list of them. Then we have what we call policy, enacting a policy of least privilege. Well, I talked about that previously. The idea of preventing too much accesses to your machine or your device. Limit the privileges, limit the users, the amount of users or the users' access to particular information or to particular aspects of your system, right? And of course, another vulnerability is your IoT devices. IoT stands for Internet of Things, right? Um, and Internet of Things, we know it's something that's still rolling out in the world. And basically, it's where we have a number of smart devices that are Wi-Fi capable. Let me tell you, in the coming future, we'll have Wi-Fi fridges, not just Wi-Fi printers. You'll have Wi-Fi manufacturing robots, Wi-Fi coffee makers, right? Wi-Fi driverless cars. All these things can become susceptible to vulnerabilities. And I saw a video recently of one hacker. He was testing the vulnerability of a driverless car where someone was driving. Actually, a car someone was driving wasn't driverless, but he made it driverless by hacking, and he started off by just automatically moving the guy's window up and down, moving the windows up and down. So the person's like, "Huh? What's going on here? What's going on here?" Then he would take the speedometer and send it way up, and cause it to behave very erratic on the display. And it's like, huh, when you see those things happening, stop your vehicle immediately. Because usually the next way it's heading is total control, could send you into crash and death. But let me tell you, these vulnerabilities are real and they do exist, right? they could be hijacked by attackers, right? And they basically what they do, they create slave networks so that they are now the one controlling the systems, right? Even cameras in your locations and all that, they can now access those cameras and manipulate scenarios. I saw one where a guy was tormenting a little child in a bedroom by hacking into the camera and even allowing the speaker and the baby monitor hacking that and was basically terrifying the child, right? These things are real. To minimize the risk of IoT devices being vulnerable, you have to do something called a security audit, right? And they should be performed, right? Because what it helps to do, it helps to identify all the assets on the network and the operating systems that are being run. And that way, the internet devices, these Internet of Things devices, can be properly accounted for and have a cybersecurity strategy, right? So it is important for you to do that. And as I said, number 9 is when you are owner, business owner, you protect your devices and you educate your employees, educate them. Yes, I know they love to go on Facebook on their spare time. Well, I know right now everybody is probably on Facebook in their home. But the fact is that we have to consider these factors. These are just some basic vulnerabilities that you can have. And of course, there are operating systems that do provide more security as opposed to Windows, right? Most people like Mac computers because it is not susceptible to some of those vulnerabilities. But also, Linux systems are also kind of very secure and not prone to viruses. It's very difficult to get access to the vulnerabilities on a Linux-based system. In fact, just recently, I with the help of my good partner, business partner, computer guy, Michael Arman, he installed a Linux system on my computer. So I have a dual system now. It's operating both Windows and Linux, right? So you can have that feature available. And for more, you could contact the computer guy. He is offering this as a service. This is a business service, a product and service that you can utilize to create more vulnerabilities, protection from vulnerabilities. So you can do your Zoom calls in comfort. You could do your trading in comfort. You could go online and check your online banking account. Wow, that's one everybody likes to do. These things can be open to vulnerabilities, right? I'm gonna just take a short break and we're gonna come back.
Speaking at the Royal Bull Academy Traders course that was done by Mr. Carlos Gonzalez. I must say the last 6 sessions has been very, very, very informative, educational, inspiring, and I'm motivated to take on the next level of classes that is coming along because in a short 6 sessions things have really been opened up for me by the education.
was very informative. I was thankful for being a part of this level 1 and level 2. A lot of information that you could have learned, and although I'm still young in it and I'm still getting to understand what crypto is, but it's better to be inside than to be outside, and after the train going, you know, when there are no shocks, I should have been there.
This is Larry Pereira here, and a past student now of level 1 trading. If you've never done any form of trading, I advise you to sign up for this class, because this really helps you to understand the dynamics of trading. In this world, this fast-paced world of the whole digital economy, now is the time for you to empower yourself with this kind of knowledge, because this knowledge is what you need to help you now to develop another income stream.
I definitely think it's a good opportunity for everyone who's in the sphere, who's trading cryptos across the line, you name it, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple. Get involved.
Gold Academy, you will always win. Woo woo!
So thank you for that sponsor from Real Gold Academy. As those of you would know, last time we had a beautiful online orientation session, open house on our cryptocurrency trading program that I myself teach. If you're interested in being part of the online orientation, feel free to book your seat, register at http://bit.ly/trader registration, fill out the form, click submit at the end, and I will, of course, get in contact with you as we plan to begin our first session of cycle 7 of the class on the 18th of May at 6:30. So you have 1 week approximately to still get in on this program and on this course. So if you know persons or you yourself is interested, what we teach here is very simple and basic. It's the first level. So if you don't know anything regarding crypto, you could come in and experience some of it. So I'm about to close, but just before I close, I will leave you with this here. How to find security vulnerabilities. You have to audit your network assets. That basically means take a check of your system. What programs are running on your system? Are there any that are maybe vulnerable? Delete the programs that are not using, that are not functional, not serving a purpose, it's just taking up space. Sometimes they can create opportunities and bugs and backdoors and vulnerabilities in the system that you want to avoid. So remove programs that are, that will not be, is not serving any purpose, right? Penetration testing will be more for like the advanced security networks or system networks where you can try to allow persons who may have some level of hacking skills to penetrate and there are people called ethical hackers. An ethical hacker is a person who is testing your systems to see how protected it is, right? And you want to, of course, have what we call an incident response plan to contain these attacks simulated during the penetration testing phases. And of course, you want to create what we call a threat intelligence framework. So I know I'm talking a little bit big words and big terms for some people. Yes, Richard, I know that's a word. I didn't want to say it to some people, may not understand, but that's right. It's white hats, or ethical hackers. And so the threat intelligence framework, basically what you're doing there is you're basically finding what you need to protect. You set goals for your overall network security. You identify your threat sources. You refine your cybersecurity protections. You choose the appropriate threat intelligences and feeds to monitor new threats that may be coming. So this is some of the things you want to do. And of course, I like the last one, which is actually new on the whole thing. And I set up a blockchain network. Why? Because the vulnerability is almost minimal to zero on the blockchain networks. And so this is why even we in Cardbuzz, we are now produce a K1 Impulse phone that is operating on a blockchain. We have a K Impulse, WIM laptop that also operates on a blockchain system. And our business on a whole is moved and is gradually being, converged into that blockchain system where we accept gold, we transact gold. Someone asked me once recently, what makes you saving in gold digitally any safer than actually having it in your hand? And when I was able to tell him that the fact is that we are on a blockchain system, he's like, oh, that ended all questions. That ended all questions there. Because the blockchain network, and those of you who don't know what the blockchain is about or what it is all about, listen, come to the Royal Gold Academy. We have those classes as well. We talk about it in our trading class as well, right? You can come and learn more about this. I see the time is 9:07. Time has really gone from me tonight. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out to just spend this time and learn. Next week, we have another hot topic. I'm not going to tell you what it is now, but you'll be surprised. So this is Carlos Gonzalez, Crypto King, from Trinidad and Tobago, thanking each and every one of you for being on this call tonight. And again, I want to say, meet me next week in the bunker.